Welcome to my third Greenfoot tutorial with the Frog game. We're going to import the counter class in order to create a score counter and also to count how many lives we've got left. Over here there's one version of the game that I've already created, and if I run the game you can see that if I just drop one, if I just lost one life, and if I finish eating all the strawberries, another snake appears, and well, which is the code we did before. Right, let's move that out of the way for now. And over here we've got a version of the game that has not got any counters. This is where we left at the end of the second tutorial. Right. First thing we do, we go to the edit menu of our main window for Greenfoot to click on import class. And the class we want is the counter, and there we'll be using the set value method and the add method, as well as the constructor to which we can pass a string for the prefix to our counter. So I select counter, then I click import, and here is our new counter class that's appeared on the right hand side of our screen. I can compile the code. Where I want the counter to be programmed is inside the world class, and I'm just going to put it in directly in the constructor for our world. We're going to place our counter there. So the first counter we're going to create is a score counter, and that's how I'm going to call it. And now there's my call to the counter creator, to which counter constructor, to which I'm going to pass a string for my prefix, and that string is simply score. Oops, to avoid making any spelling mistakes, and then I'm going to be careful to leave a white space after the word score, just to make sure to separate the prefix from the score itself. And now I'm going to position this counter on the top of my screen, so it's score counter that I'm passing, and then I'm just going to place it at 250 coordinates. Now let's copy this code and now I'm going to edit this code for my second counter, which is counting the number of lives we've got left. I also edit its prefix, and one extra step for the live counter. The by default counters are initialized at 0, but I'm not starting with 0 lives. I want to start, let's say, 3 lives. So there we are. Let's compile this code. Live counter. Oh, I forgot to use the method. So the method that I'm using to set it at to start at 3 is the set value method that we saw earlier when we had a quick look in the documentation. So let's compile. Oh yes, I've when I copied and pasted, I've got the same coordinates for the two counters. So right now they're on top of each other, which is not a good idea. We can't see what they are. So here I've got score 0 and lives 3. Something's gone very strange with their images. Let's just check. It hasn't got, so I'm going to use a normal counter image over here and then compile again. That's much better. Okay, we've got our two counters, but if we run our game, nothing happens because we are not using them yet. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the code for the frog in order to increase our score whenever we eat something. One problem we've got here is that we took the shortcut of using the remove touching method from the class actor, but in order to do two actions, one to remove food if we touch it, but also to increment the counter, I need to go back to using what we've done in the Space Invader tutorial, rather than this shortcut. So we're going to do collision detection first, and then if we collide, we are going to do these two actions. Right. So for collision detection, we are no longer inside programming the world. We are inside one of its actors. So we need to let's double check with what we're going to use in the documentation. Where's that gone? Oh. Right, I've lost my documentation. Right, Firefox has crashed. Never mind. Okay, so the code we are going to use is we're going to be inside an if block. Well, Firefox has definitely crashed. So anyway, while it will recover, let's write our if block. So if what's happening? So if get one intersecting object, which is a method we've used before, and the object we are looking for is an object of the class food. So if get one intersecting object is not null, so is different from is not is coded as exclamation mark equal and then the keyword null. So this means that calling this function does produce a result, so there is an intersecting object. We remove the semicolon and instead we use our curly brackets, into which we're going to write the code for, well, first we're going to remove the actor, the strawberry that we are intersecting with. So then we ask the world to remove it. Now we are going to interact with a counter. So in a similar fashion to what we've done here, we need to create an object of the type that we want to use one of its method. So for our counter, obviously the type of object is counter. This time I'm just going to call it score. And I'm going to use getWorld method, get object. Now I have to be careful here because the method I'm using, getObject, is going to return me a list of objects of the type counter. And I have two counters in my world. I've got score and I've got lives counter. but the one I'm interested in is the score counter, which is the first one that I created. So it's going to be the first one in the list of counter returned by this method. And to access the first item in a list, we use the list method get, and very careful here, lists index start at 0, so the first item has 0 as an index. And then once I've got this object, the score counter, I can use its add method, and I simply add 1 point for eating 1 strawberry. If I compile this, I'm going to get an error, so I'll bring that in the middle of the screen. Oh, it's a typo. Compile again. Right, now found an object, but expect a counter. It expects a counter. Right now it does not know that this is of type counter, so I'm going to have to typecast it to force it to recognize this is a counter. And the way to do that is simply to type the name of the class that we know it is in between brackets just before the method that will give us this result. Now if I compile, it's working. So if I run this, I should see my score increase. Yes. Let's reset it so you can see it again. So I now have a score of 2, and then some more just by eating my strawberries. Brilliant. So there's one counter working. Now let's have a look at the lives counter, and whenever we get eaten by a snake, our number of lives should decrease. So we are interested in the code for the snake. And over here, this is what happens whenever we remove one frog from the world. Now let's double check what is happening to my Firefox. Oh, it's back online. Excellent. Okay. Right. In fact, what we see here is we already have a call to a function from the world that's lose 1 life. Right. So maybe we can place the code to decrease the life counter into this lose 1 life method from the world. So let's bring the code for our frog world, and lose 1 life is over here. So we do keep track of a number of lives, and then there's a simple test to see if it's time to call game over. Right, so to update the life counter, we need the same code than we've used before. So in fact, I should have this frog. Let's copy that code, and we're going to amend it. So first, it's not score, it's life. And then what we are going to do, we are going to use because there's no decrease method, but instead we're going to use the setValue method, and the parameter we're going to pass to setValue is our number lives up here. In fact, this one, because we are already decreasing our number of lives just at the start of our lose life method. Right. So counter life, we are casting it as a type counter, class counter. We are inside the world, so we don't actually need get world. We can directly go to get object, counter class. Now we have to be careful here, because right now this will return the first counter in the list of counter that's created just up here, while the one we want is the second one, this one, the lives counter. So we are no longer item 0, we are now item 1 in our list of counters. Let's compile this code, no error. Now let's play the game, and if I lose, my life counter has just dropped to 2. Excellent. So there's just one problem. I still have 2 lives left, but there's no frogs anymore, so I need to find a way to put the frog back on the screen in order to start again. So over here I have the code. I'm already doing a test to see if I need to stop the game. So down here I can just reset the game if needed. Now to reset the game, if you remember in the previous tutorial, I have split my prepare method into those 3 prepare methods. So I could just copy and paste this code down here. However, I'm not going to reset all the strawberries to the number 10 and move them to different locations. So I'm going to remove that one, which means I will just have whatever strawberries were left on the screen, the same number in the same position as when the frog has been eaten. The only difference is that the frog is going to be reset in the right hand side of my screen, right in the middle of the right hand side, and then I will have the same number of snakes that I had when I just lost, but at random places on the left. If I compile, no error. Now let's have a little trial. So I'm starting with 4 snakes. Yes, the snake seems to have multiplied, and this would be because I've called prepare prepare the snakes, so I'm adding snakes to the left of the screen. At the same time, I have not removed whatever snakes were left on the right hand side, so the snakes double every time I lose a life, which is a little bit of a problem. So I need to go into the code for my prepare the enemy, and then I should do something in order to remove them. So before adding my enemies, I'm going to remove whatever enemies I've got left. Now we're going to use a method we've never used before for that. Let's have a look at our documentation. It's still here, and it's the world documentation that I want. I'm looking for a method to remove my enemies. There it is, remove object. But look at this one, remove objects, plural, remove a list of objects from the world. Excellent. So this is the one I'm going to use. I'm going to remove all the enemy objects. And the enemy objects, I'm going to get them with the getObject method, which is over here. So first one remove object. Where's the code for prepare enemies? It's here. So remove object, and the object I'm going to remove is the result of get object, and then this one I'm going to have to pass it the name of my class. Get objects, and it's enemy dot class. Okay, let's pretty this up. It's not what I was looking at. Alright, let's hide this, go back over there, reset my game. Only 4 snakes, that gives me more chance. And then I've just lost 1 life, another life. That's it, game over. Which we can add a label, as was explained into the 6th tutorial for the Space Invader game. I think it's time to stop this one, and we might be looking at adding an energy bar as well. I'll have to think about this one. Thank you for following this tutorial.